Hello everyone! Welcome to this week's 10-Minute 2-Tip Tuesday. As always, I'm Amelia Borland here. I'm an occupational therapist. I'm with Higher Standards Caregiver Training, and I am hoping to bring you 10 minutes of two of the most valuable tips that you are going to receive all week. As always, this is for education purposes only. So if anything that I say reminds you of yourself, reminds you of someone that you're working with, someone that you know, and makes you think that maybe that person needs a little bit extra assistance, maybe they need intervention from a licensed provider, then please make sure that that person is getting the assistance that they need, because this is for education purposes only. Okay, that said, that out of the way, as always here on 10-Minute 2-Tip Tuesday, we're going to do two tips. The first one is specifically for caregivers. And a lot of times, the tips that I will give for caregivers is directly related to how we can help keep the people that we are caring for safe, whether they're clients, whether they're loved ones, whether it's friends, whatever it is. And of course, I am a strong believer that the more safe we keep the people we care for, the safer we keep caregivers themselves, because these two things go hand in hand. However, and I don't say however because I'm going to contradict myself here. What I'm saying however for is today this tip is going to be really specifically focused on caregiver protection. Very specifically, this is about caregiver safety. And this is a really big one. I can't tell you how many times I've seen over the years folks perform transfers in this way. It really puts caregivers at a very high risk of injury. And so I wanted to go over with it now just to bring attention to this issue and sort of give an alternative for it. And as I go over it, I think you're going to be able to see with me why it is that people have a tendency to perform transfers this way. It's a really natural thing to do, but we want to fight that urge because it puts the caregiver themselves at a very high risk. So, as you can see, I have my lovely assistant here to help me today. This person doesn't have a name. I should probably give him, her, I should probably give it a name. Okay, anyway, but I digress. That's neither here nor there. So, what is this thing that people tend to do during transfers that is super dangerous for the caregiver? Well, I will show you with the help of my little friend here. That is, people have a tendency to allow the person they're transferring to hold them around the neck. Super dangerous. You may be thinking, well, that's dangerous for obvious reasons. But I want to really dig into this now because it is something that people do naturally. It can be very natural to have the person you're transferring say, okay, here, give me a hug to do the transfer, right? But under no circumstances do we want this person to be hugging us around our neck. Because, one, the neck is a very vulnerable position of part of the body, right? Obviously, it controls our blood flow to our brain, our oxygen supply, etc. And of course, musculoskeletally speaking, it can be a pretty weak point. We don't want someone's weight hanging off of our neck. There are other good reasons for this too, though. If you think about it, if someone has you around the neck, they have pretty much total control of your body. And if you are the one who's assisting someone with a transfer, if you're the one who's physically lifting and helping someone move, you really need to be in control of that situation as much as possible. Certainly you want to be in control of your own body during that situation. And when someone has you around the neck, that means that they actually have control of your body. And unintentionally, that person can do a great deal of harm. Certainly if they're fearful at all, if they begin to panic, if the transfer just starts to go poorly, it's very difficult to correct things if someone is pulling you around your neck and potentially causing you injury. It's very hard to then correct that transfer. And of course, it's you're at a very there's a high risk of injury in that situation. So instead of having, how I've always trained this is instead of having someone hold you around the neck, I always encourage instead, if people are unable to push through their wheelchair or push through their bed or whatever surface they're sitting on to start from the transfer, if they need to hold on to the person doing the transfer, then I really recommend that they hold on to that person's arms instead. Because that way we're giving them that sense of security, something to hold to. Again, if they're not able to safely participate by pushing from the surface that they're on, but it's preventing them from taking control of the caregiver's body by having their arms around that neck and causing unintentional harm. Okay, so that is tip number 1 for today for 10-Minute Tip Tuesday. Tip number 2, as always, is for caregiving organizations. Now, last week, the tip that we talked about was process and how important it is to have a training process in place, although that can be really challenging to do. If you didn't see that, definitely go check it out. There are recordings available of the past 10-Minute Tip Tuesdays, so check that out for sure. However, what I want to talk about today is related, and that is consistency. For caregiving organizations, what do you want? What's the goal? Well, the goal is always to provide great quality care highly consistently so that you always know that the folks that you serve are getting the best possible care from every single one of your caregivers, right? But how do we achieve that? Well, we have to achieve that through consistently training our caregivers, communicating with our caregivers, messaging our caregivers to make sure that they are understanding what the organization's expectations are, what the values are, what the policies are, and certainly what those skills are and how they should be applying them to the best of their abilities in the situations they're in. If you think back to your own life, like you don't have to think that hard probably before you can find an example of where in order to achieve something you had to have consistent input in to achieve those results. So for example, so like in high school I was in band, I was in mock trial, I did forensics, which is not cutting open dead bodies. It is actually speech and debate. If there are any other forensics nerds out there. I played competitive softball for several years. For all of those things, to achieve great results, I had to consistently put in the time and the effort and the practice in order to get the results that I wanted. And your organization, your caregivers are no different. They need that constant input, constant reiteration of expectations, of values, knowing that they are supported, knowing that they are constantly building on their skills to get better and better in order to achieve those consistently great results that you want for your clients, for your caregivers, for your organization. That can be really challenging to do, of course. If you need help with that, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to chat anytime. It's what I do, it's all I do. And I'm happy to help in any way that I can. All right, so that is it though for me for 10-Minute Tip Tuesday. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that this was valuable to you. If it was, please make sure that you share it with anyone else who you think could also benefit from this information. Until next time, y'all, I hope that you take care, be healthy, be well. I will see you next Tuesday live at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here for 10-Minute Tip Tuesday. Till then, take care. Bye, y'all.